My name is Lanisha Tab. If you don't know who I am, nice to meet you. I am known on the internet as Education with an Apron. Usually it's about a social studies topic, but today we're going to be talking about another passion of mine, which is writing workshop, and specifically we're going to be talking about illustrations. So the point of this video is to introduce to some and present to others this Magic Line Museum, which is behind me. And before you get into the video and get excited about it, I want you to rest assured that this is available for free. So there will be a link down in the description box, or if you're on Instagram, it'll be linked there. And you will be able to download this for free, I promise. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is just jump in, and I just wanna talk to you about this Magic Line Museum, okay? So if you look at it, you can see that it's a series of illustrations that vary what the magic line is. So let me start there. If you have been following me for some time, then you know that I am all about really great quality illustrations for kids. And one trick that's been wildly successful this year is teaching kids how to draw really complex settings, because it just immediately lifts the quality of their writing workshop books. So the way I did that was I taught my kids this thing that I randomly just called the magic line. So an example of the magic line would be, if you're working with a blank piece of paper, the magic line is whatever you draw that divides the paper into the floor or the ground and the backdrop, the sky, the walls, etc. So if I take a blank piece of paper and I draw a line, then immediately I've got a floor to put things on and I have a background. Okay, so this was the first concept that I taught my kids. And it's because when we get young illustrators and they want to draw a picture, what do they typically do? They get the blue crayon, they scribble across the top, and they're like, there's the sky, and they put a yellow circle, there's the sun, and then they scribble green down at the bottom, and they're like, that's the grass, and then they'll draw like a rainbow or something, right? So those are typical behaviors for young illustrators. And so I thought, like, how can I get them to really go to the next step for illustration? So the magic line was born. So we spent a lot of days just drawing very simple pictures like this, where it was a straight line, and every day we would do what I called magic line challenges. This is how I began the year in kindergarten for writing workshop, because a lot of them are not writing yet. So if you've got young kids and they don't know how to write words or letters yet, or their name, this is a great place to start, like really just teaching them how to illustrate. And so I would give them challenges every day. Like, we would sit down and they would get a blank piece of paper and a clipboard. They would sit on the carpet. I would get a large piece of construction paper and a marker, because I wanted it to be dark enough for them to see. And so with them, I would draw on the board the magic line, and then they on their clipboards would draw the magic line, and it looked, just like this. And then it became kind of a game. And so every day we would do a different scene, and we ended up coming up with a theme song. So like, I would get in front of the kids and I would say, magic line challenge, and then they would repeat it, magic line challenge, and then whatever the theme was for the day, that was the edition. So it would be like classroom edition or bedroom edition, or kitchen, or whatever it was. And so it became like this really fun game almost, where they would get so excited to come in and get their clipboard and paper, and they would sit down and they'd be like, what are we gonna draw today? So they'd be really excited about that. So eventually we started to vary the scene, like, let's try some things outside, let's try some scenes that are at school, or just different sorts of things. And so as we were completing these challenges, which, by the way, if you want to do that in your classroom, here's how I sort of run it. So pencil, clipboard on the carpet, I draw in marker, they draw in pencil. They have to draw everything that I draw as best they can. And then when we are done and we put all the details, if we're drawing a park, there's gonna be a slide and clouds and all that good stuff, then you send them back to their seat to work, but they have to color it. So there's no coloring on the carpet, okay? So you want to make sure they get all their details on the carpet with you, send them off to work, and then they're going to color it. And my rule in my classroom is no white space. So they have to fill in the entire paper. Okay, so that was just a quick sidebar that I wanted to make sure that I said. So anyway, after we were doing all of these challenges, I was like, oh my gosh, Like there's so many good pictures. I kept them because I'm actually not an artist, but like I would keep these pictures and I'd be like, these are really great for kids to look at. And I started collecting them and I was like, oh, I should like display these somewhere. And then the Magic Line Museum was born, basically. So a closer look at it, you can kind of see it says Magic Line Museum, and it says there's a learning target on there. Like it says I can make a detailed setting to help give more information about my story, or and then that's a sidebar that I really want to make sure I say right now. The Magic Line challenges were fun, but every single day I wanted to make sure that I hit home the point that we were not just doing this to have fun and draw pretty pictures, right? So every day at the end of the lesson, I'd be like, okay, wow, we just made the best camping scene ever. If you make a book this year in writing workshop about camping, I cannot wait to see these kind of illustrations in there. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing there. Like I kept dropping seeds every single day that like, this is not just like pretty picture time. Like this is going to help us lift the level and the quality of our writing workshop books that we're going to be doing later. So it's getting kids set up for success for the rest of the year. So this just explains what the Magic Line is and how it separates the ground or the floor, you know, to the background. And then you can just see the different kinds of magic lines. So one day we tried a wavy line and we made an ocean scene, right? Or just a straight line and there's a kitchen. A diagonal line just sort of makes it a little more interesting. There's a curvy line that we turned into a farm scene, right? Nighttime things and daytime things, that sort of thing. And then over here, we spent some time learning how to draw people, which is my whole, if you've, again, followed my work at all. If not, I'll put some links down below. But the whole Albert thing came where, like, Albert is the potato person that so many kids draw. And he typically looks like this, and like that's the person, right? So at the beginning of the year, we spent some time learning how to like say goodbye to Albert, which I'll talk about that in just a second. And then we learned how to really draw people. So we learned how to form arms and legs and faces. But then hair is also another really important aspect of illustrations, because in a writing workshop book, all your characters should not look exactly the same, right? Or if no one in your family has hair that looks like this, then why are we scribbling those lines on the top of their head, right? And so we spend a lot of time learning how to do even different hair variations. Over here you can see like there's detailed clothing, there's patterns, there's stripes, there's polka dots, adding jewelry. All of these things are things that, yes, they make a really beautiful picture, but what we're really doing is getting children to fall in love with writing. Because if a child is taking this much time to make a picture and they're proud of it and they're like, oh my gosh, look at what I made, they're not going to be so quick to abandon that writing piece. They're going to be much more excited to put words to the illustration that they just made, because they're going to be proud of it. So if we can really set these kids up to make beautiful pictures, the rest of the year, you are going to have higher quality books and you're going to have kids that are way more excited about writing. At this point, we have the Magic Line Museum going, and I have been sharing it with a couple of teachers, and I kept sort of hearing like, okay, but like, how do I roll that out? What do I do? And so I decided to turn it into a resource that really can get this up and running in 15 days, so about 3 weeks. So it's called 15 Days to Illustration Mastery, and I'm going to show you some of my favorite lessons from it. So I love this part because it's just the 15 days at a glance. There's 3 weeks, and week 1 is all about people. It's the whole Albert thing, and it goes a little bit deeper. The week 2 is about the Magic Line, and it's all the challenges for the different kinds of settings. And then week 3 is just like drawing details and then some writing hacks to make your illustrations more interesting. So I'll show you a couple of some of my favorite lessons. So this is lesson 1, hello and goodbye to Albert, right? And so we introduce Albert. We call him Albert in my classroom. You can call him whatever you want, but we just want kids to know that like, oh my gosh, like we honor you, Albert. We appreciate what you have done for us. We are so glad that you helped us when we were like 4 years old, but now we're like big kindergartners or we're first graders now, and we just can't draw you anymore. So we just want to send you on your way. And they get to pick how they say farewell to Albert, which is a lot of fun, right? So we hang up the poster, we meet Albert, we say hello to him, we say thank you to Albert, and then we're going to send Albert away. And so that's what it looks like. So I have a couple really fun examples that I'll show you when my students were saying farewell to Albert. So you can see here Albert's leaving. He's headed to the big city. There's his taxi. He's got his suitcase and he's on his way. You can see here Albert is on his way outer space. There's a rocket ship and he's about to go far, far away. Here's Albert. He's on a boat. So bon voyage, like he's on his way to the blue seas. So this was a lot of fun. So we just, making it very visual and very memorable for children to say goodbye to Albert will help them to remember, oh yeah, like I'm not supposed to draw Albert right now. I really need to make sure that I'm trying to draw a person. I get a lot of questions about like, but what if my kids are still at the Albert stage because it's developmentally appropriate? That's fine, right? If you're a kindergarten teacher, then it may not be appropriate to say farewell to Albert until like later in the school year, right? So you have to make that call as the classroom teacher. So I'll just show you a few more things. So the rest of the week, we're really focusing on drawing people. Like I was saying here in the Magic Line Museum, there's the hair variations, and then I give them a teaching chart. We blow this up on the screen and we are just talking about hairstyles. And we're like, look at how different all of these hairstyles are. We can't draw everybody the exact same way because everybody is different. So we talk a lot about that. And then it's sort of the same thing for clothing. We talk about just detailed clothing. There's some more just charts and things that you can kind of show your children that would be really helpful for that sort of lesson. At the start of the second week is when we get into what is a setting. And I've provided lots of really good pictures that will allow your students to identify the magic line and then just to notice that there's different kinds of settings that we can draw. So we've got a kitchen outside, we've got a snowy setting, we've got an indoor setting, and even things like outside the window, you can see the setting out there. So that's important. We don't want to just draw a window on the paper and that's it. Like if it's a window, we can see something. So we need to make sure we draw the things that are in the window, right? Is it daytime? Is it nighttime? Things like that. And then from there, it's just tips, tricks, and hacks. And some of them are my favorite. I'll give you an example. So I teach my students to draw the things first. This lesson is called Draw the Things First. And an example of that would be like the top picture here. We drew the tree, the sun, all of those things first with a dark crayon or a marker or something, and then we colored it in. But you can see here at the bottom, we just went straight in with the yellow and the blue and the green, and it's just not as crisp. So doing these lessons in front of students and then showing them the end result versus, what it might have been if we didn't use this strategy, very powerful, because kids will remember like, oh my gosh, I need to make sure that I draw everything first. And then, just a couple other things, like I'll get some kids who will draw beautiful magic lines, but then they won't remember that below and above the magic line should be one color except for the things that you put in the picture. So if you're drawing the city, everything under the magic line should be one color. It should all be green or whatever picture color you pick. On top, it's the sky, so everything around that should be blue. And I will get some kids that will draw the magic line, make a beautiful picture, and then just go to town drawing lots of colors, and then it kind of messes up the illusion, which is really what the magic line is a series of illusions. And then one more that I will share with you, which is my absolute favorite tip. I love this one. This is a lesson on varying the details on your magic line. So most kids will draw a magic line and they're like, okay, got it. But then they will put everything on the magic line. So you can see the house, the car, the tree, the people. They are all sitting right on the magic line. But then down below, I've varied it. So I've moved the tree under the magic line. The magic line's still there, but the tree's under there. The people are under it. The house is still on the magic line. And so even teaching kids something as simple as that can revolutionize their picture in the way that they draw something. So those are just a couple of the lessons that are in here. Like I said, there's 15 lessons and it is extremely helpful. If that's something you were interested in, I will definitely get you the information to check out 15 Days to Illustration Mastery. But if not, the Magic Line Museum is free and you can pretty much take off with that on your own if you are interested in that. So again, thank you so much for checking this out. I would love to see your Magic Line Museum. If you download this and put it in your classroom, absolutely take a picture and tag me on social media. I'm apron_education everywhere, and let me know how it goes. But I really hope that you can see at least the power of teaching children how to illustrate in a way that they may not have ever been taught before, and to understand the importance of illustration in the writing workshop. It's not just like draw a picture to go with your words. Like, there's so much meaning and power that can come when we teach children to illustrate properly. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.